like this, the wind's blowing the
Unsyndicated presents What the Puck with Sean Baligian.
Up, glad you can join us wherever you may be. He's Mike, I'm Sean. It's not the July 1 that we remember. It's not the July 1 that we remember. But, Mike, it's almost gotten to the point of old bit as well. Because let's be honest, in our little group text, we were all in the first couple hours once the bell rang at about noon. All right? We were all in. We were excited. I know there are less than names. It's by design. You know, we've said it 1,000 times. It's still July 1. It's still a day of a lot of movement. And because of that, I still enjoy it. How's that?
You have to. You have to enjoy it. I've had it on, like I said, I'm sitting outside right now, so I can have it on in the background. I was doing yard work today. I didn't have my normal Pearl Jam on, Sean. I was streaming my TV through the speaker, just listening to it. But as I'm sure we're going to get to, the old bit we didn't want to talk about started happening for us. And it's still going on as we sit here today.
Yeah, I want to get to that in just a minute. I do. I want to get to it because I'm at a quandary. I can't blame people for being frustrated. It's weird. I have no other way to say that, Mike, but you know, this is, the beginning of the show. This is the moments that we take to get the links out there. Okay. And I also said, how is it? I hope you saw that. I said, how is it on the little chat and everything. So let me do this on Facebook, but Mike, honestly, it was fun. I was in a group chat with you. I was in a group chat with a couple other people. I think we're too hard on July 1 because it's still July 1 and there's still movement and there's still teams making each other better. I just think the days of the big names hitting the open market on July 1 are long gone. I really, truly do.
Yeah, I think it's almost like there's more of a courtship going on about it. So if you don't sign with your team and you hit it July 1st, you're talking probably about a week. You're going to want to go visit it, maybe take your family there. These are a lot of things I'm hearing with Nikolai Ehlers as the day goes along and you listen, that he might just be visiting some places. So it's going to be a little bit. It's not all going to happen on July 1st. The ones that do happen on July 1st, Sean, is exactly what we're seeing. Those $1 million contracts.
Yep. That's exactly it. Obviously, love to get your thoughts. Earlier in the day, Mike, I think the angry people, the angry people were out in mass. And then as the day has progressed, there were more of the, well, you have to trust the process and don't be so hard and things like that. And I think, Mike, I was one of those guys only because I told you 2 general managers in the National Hockey League, from their mouths to my ears, and neither of them were named Steve Yzerman, told me the average person doesn't understand. You legitimately have to give 5 years. Okay. So that, as you know, we said it 2 years ago, for goodness sake, a year and a half ago. All right, let's wait and see. I think the bets turned off in 24, 25, and now heading into 25, 26, I can't blame one Red Wing fan for saying to themselves, what the heck is going on? And I've got a lot of thoughts, but I'm interested to hear yours.
Well, I think that the people that I'm with and the people I'm in group text with, we're past it, Sean. It's over with. It's already getting shut down. I was surprised when you were telling me the people that you were running into in the Woodward chat rooms and stuff like that there's still hope alive. And they've, like you said, they've got the core sign, Sean. What are you guys worried about? They're doing it. That I don't understand. I think that there's not one person, from my cousin to nephews, everyone that were holding on to this Yzerplan, they've jumped off the ship, Sean. And he's got to get them back on. And this is the summer that we've been talking about. Probably since December? We've been saying this summer, it's going to happen. Something's got to happen this summer, and it's just starting out a little bit slow. So I don't know about you. I know you hear a lot of the things. You've got a lot more people to talk to. Is something big coming?
All right. So I've said this to you, and I'm going to say this to everybody else, and I'm never going to deviate from this. Anybody that tells you that they know what Steve Yzerman is going to do is lying. I'm just nobody keeps things closer to the vest than Steve Yzerman. As Gordy said, complete the process for good Lord's sake. More on that in a second. I promise you, Gordy. More on that in a second. Rip number 10. Absolutely. Alex Delvecchio, legend. Hold on. Austin said this was a good one. Did you guys hear that? It's the sound of the Oilers window closing. Can I very quickly talk on that? Do not at all be surprised if Connor McDavid leaves next year. Do not be surprised in any way, shape, or form if Connor McDavid leaves next year.
And the longer this contract doesn't get extended, the more likely I think that is to happen, Sean.
Got to trust the process. The rebuild was going to crumble from the start. Today was a kickoff to another crap offseason, especially the free agent signings. I'd rather the Wings sit on their hands than have another Franz Nielsen situation. Still wouldn't mind a few guys out there, but not going to be mad that we didn't throw Ehlers $10 million for us to lose to Florida. I'm going to say this, though. Can I? And I'm going to first thing I'm going to do is try to be fair before we get to some of the comments that really irked me, because I have a feeling I'm going to raise my voice. All right. And you've heard me raise my voice before, but let me try to go with the happy thing. Okay. And I'm going to ask everybody to take a deep breath with me. Ready? Mike, are the Detroit Red Wings better today than they were at the end of last season?
No.
I think so with John Gibson. I do. I think so with John Gibson.
I think they're better in net. Yes, I'll give you that. They definitely have a goaltender. And when I was doing the notes for time, I was like, they improved it. But me and you had that conversation. I think it's 5 years too late on that. And that actually, if we want to stick on Gibson, that brought up a lot of questions to me. So I do agree with you. They're better in net, but overall, it's the same team, Sean. It's we've said this for 2 years now. This is the same thing. If
they're better, it's this. Okay. Right. Now this is maybe Mo Seider takes that step. Maybe Lucas Raymond takes that step. Okay, but right now, so let's both agree on a little bit better, right? Fair.
A little bit better. A little Marco Kasper.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Good. Yes. Do you know what the problem with that thinking is? So's everybody else in the division. Everybody else in the division. And in my mind, especially the two teams that you were kind of jibing with, because, Mike, this has been a common theme, and I can say it loudly and proudly now. This is the best division in hockey, period. Okay? The Leafs aren't going anywhere, especially come playoff time, but you know they're going to be a good team. Florida's not going anywhere. Tampa's not going anywhere. As we talked about, Boston began their initial descent. The Ottawa Senators have been going up, and the Habs are really going up. And I'm not afraid to say it anymore. If you compare what those teams did to, especially the Ottawas and Montreals, the teams that they're jockeying for to try to get in that top three, Mike, there is no comparison. There is no comparison. And that's why if you're trying to make yourself feel better and say, well, yeah, we're better. Okay, that's cute. You are. But the other guys are better. It's just that simple.
And on top of that, so if we get to, I think, the things you're going to bring up about signing your core and the guys that were irking you earlier today, when you look at the core, Ottawa's core, end of last year, end of this year. Montreal's core, end of last year, end of this year. Red Wings core, real nice end last year, right? This year. I think they took a step back. And if anyone wants to argue that we're free to do that, but my judgment of watching it is Raymond and Seider are our two. Let's throw Larkin in there. We threw Larkin in there.
They have to. Yeah.
They took a step back this year.
Yep.
They really did.
This was the conversation I had, and Mike, I stopped myself. Okay. And I again, I use Montreal as an example. Here's the core for Detroit. You guys tell me what you think, okay? The guys that you have locked up long-term right now today, okay? You've got Mo Seider, Lucas Raymond, and Dylan Larkin. Not bad. Not bad, okay? Not bad at all right? Honestly, not bad. Here's the core for Montreal. You got Dobson locked up long-term. You got Caulfield locked up long-term. You have Suzuki locked up long-term. And mark my words, Lane Hudson and Demidov will be locked up long-term within 12 months of now. Mark my words, that's coming, especially with the cap coming up. Where do you want to compare and contrast that, right? Where do you want to compare and contrast that? I don't get it. I don't understand it. I don't understand. We'll go through the moves today because we have to. But Mike, it's frustrating, and it's frustrating because I miss the days where there was buzz, and I miss where everybody and their brother was talking about the game that you and I both, without a shadow of a doubt, feel is the greatest game on earth. And this is such a long period of nothingness. I mean, franchise record. Playoff list streak. It's mind-boggling to me.
I mean, and the biggest thing about it is it's not a destination either anymore, Sean. That buzz is gone. Going into July 1st, right? That you're going to be overpaying to get guys to come here if you can get anyone to come here. And hopefully that's not what's going on right now. Hopefully there's something behind the scenes going on that is going to blow our hats off. After the Tarasenko W, Sean, it's been downhill.
You and I were talking about this though, and I'm gonna repeat it. How much do I pat a guy on the back for rectifying a situation that, I don't know, guys like you and I said a year ago on this very date was a horrible signing? How much do I give him a pat on the back? I give him a tip of the cap for saying, all right, you realized it was a mistake, and my gosh, you even got somebody to eat his contract. But how much do we do that? And I think, unfortunately, if we're being honest, Mike, that's been this Yzerman regime. Well, don't worry, Sebastian Cossa's coming. Don't worry. Okay. And that has kind of puttered to I don't want to say standstill, but it's definitely sputtered. Whether people want to admit it or not, and I've had this conversation with a lot of our friends, Blashill was the source of everything that was evil and wrong with this franchise, okay? And Steve went and got his hand-picked successor, and it was a horrible hire. Nobody could deny that. And it almost seems to me like that the Tarasenko situation that you just described is kind of, that's been the MO for the Yzerman regime for 6 years and 2 months now. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, well, we're going to take a step forward. Now we got to take a step back, but we're going to take a step forward now because we acknowledged our mistake. And it's like, well, that's where we're at. And it's, I think it all comes back down to the fact that this guy knows that there's no way in Hades they're going to fire him. There's no way in Hades they're going to fire him. None. Zero.
And you hit it on the head that what we've done in the last 48 hours sums up his tenure right now as GM. It's absolutely that. Like you said, you get a tip of the hat for the win with Tarasenko, but then I throw my hat right back at him because we signed 5 guys that are going to be in Grand Rapids.
We'll get
that money.
Gordy, if you're the best player on the planet, why wouldn't you leave Edmonton? Taxes, long plane rides, 20 degrees below zero, move to warm weather, better taxes, more endorsement opportunities, short plane rides, etc. He gone. No doubt about it. I'm telling you, Mike, I'd be stunned if he stayed there next year. I think there's a reason why he hasn't, had those conversations yet. And if you read some of the things the guys in the know, they're all kind of saying the same thing. He wants to see what this is going to look like and what this is going to look like for the next, 4 or 5 years. And They are in so much trouble right now. There's all the speculation that Nugent Hopkins could be on the move. I know there was a big rumor you and I were talking about him potentially going to Montreal, for goodness sake. And I could not imagine a scenario that would keep Connor McDavid in Edmonton.
No, and I thought his exit interviews were very telling. With it's going to take some time. There was no for certain, nope, this is my team, we're going to be here. It was kind of like, I'm going to take a step back right now, and the organization needs to show me something. And I don't know if signing Bushbaum for 10.5 was what he was looking for. You can only have so much of those guys on there. So it's very interesting. And yeah, I'm in the same boat.
Austin, I actually agree with what you're saying here. I would argue Toronto is worse. They'll be good, but not 108 points good. Can we also agree? I'm with you. Nick Waugh or Mitch Marner. Okay, it was nice to get Nyes locked up. But while I'm giving you that, would you also say that the gap between the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Detroit Red Wings is this? I think it's disrespectful to our screen. More like that, Mike. There's a huge gap between those two teams. So I hope you understand my overall point. It stands for sure. Beautiful night. Yes, it is. The Wings are definitely treading water, but at least if things stay like they are, and I'm reading between the lines, we'll get to see some youth. Maybe, right? Maybe.
Don't you think that would take some pressure off of them? Show the youth. Let the youth play.
I don't know. Haven't we thought that for a while, though?
Yes. Oh, forever as a Wings fan. They languish in Grand Rapids.
Yep. No doubt about it. All right, Mike, let me take care of some business. Gosh damn, there's so much to talk about. I'm not complaining in one way, shape, or form. I'm talking hockey with my friends, right? All About Catering LLC, full service catering, graduations, weddings, bridal showers, corporate events, anything you need catering for, from 25 to 4,000 people. Rick and his staff at All About Catering can and will take care of you. They've done it for us. They'll do it for you. Do not sweat your next big event. Just go to allaboutcateringllc.com today. Check out their menus. They're 5-star reviews. 5-star reviews. Call them 586-731-1398 to get your event started. Did you guys see Ken Holland today? Some of those contracts were eye-popping. This is where Ken Holland excels. This is where he excels. Let's be honest. If you give Ken Holland a blank check, Ken Holland can sign, guys. He did it in Detroit. He did it in Edmonton. Give him his flowers. His fingerprints are all over those Edmonton teams that went to 2 straight final. And you know what? It's going to be really interesting to see, especially with Corey Perry being in LA. It's going to be really interesting to see, Mike, if your Kings take the next step.
I'm glad it got brought up, Sean, because in my opinion, they were one of the winners today with what they did. They lost one of their top defensemen, but then they brought in 2 serviceable 3 and 4 and CC and Dumoulin in there, bringing in Perry and bringing in your guy, Yoel Armia. They brought in some guys because they lacked the depth in the playoffs. I like what they did today.
McDavid would be spectacular on the Kings or Stars if they could afford him. Happy Canada Day. Absolutely. Hold on. There's a few other things. Gosh damn it. I keep skipping it. You guys are coming in quick, so forgive me. Coach Hunter popped in. Perry off to the Kings. No way they win. Nice deck view, Mike. Why create the space to do nothing? Would the Wings had done Casper for Mailview? That would have been fun, wouldn't it? Ooh. They would have. You know it as well as I do. He covets his own. I think that, Mike, can I be so bold to say this? Do you know what I think one of the problem is with the Detroit Red Wings right now? And this goes back to the little mini rant I had a couple minutes ago. They have overvalued their own. Forever. Whether they want to admit it or not, to me, is inconsequential. They have overvalued Dylan Larkin. They have overvalued Mo Seider. They have overvalued Lucas Raymond. And again, I say this, and yet I can also say maybe there is a next level there for Raymond. Maybe there is a next level there for Mo Seider. All I can talk about is what is right now and what we thought would be 2 years ago. right? I mean, especially, Mike, the way that Lucas Raymond finished the season, the 23-24 season, and nearly, willing them into the playoff, it was like, okay, all right. Mo Seider, as you and I have talked about all the time, Calder guy. People around here, whether they want to admit it or not, we're talking Norris Trophy and all that shit. And you know what? They're guys right now. They're good players. I'll take them, but they haven't become those stars that befit that, core mentality, so to speak.
And the fear's got to be that they peaked, Sean.
Mm-hmm.
They hit that peak, and there's no next step. Like Raymond's next step would have been that's the star that the Detroit Red Wings need, right?
Yep.
Seider's next step is he's that shutdown defenseman that you can put out there against anybody. And they just kind of stopped after that end of that 24 season. And 24-25, hopefully we can erase it from our memories. And 25-26 can start and something will happen and they'll take that next step.
So here you go. All right. And you guys, if you're watching this show, you know what happened, but we have to do this anyway. Okay. Ian Mitchell, 1-year contract, $775,000. Jacob Bernard Docker, I shit you not. Do you want to laugh? Go look at some of the comments on Twitter about Jacob Bernard Docker. If you are like you're having a bad day, go look at some of these slapdicks trying to talk this guy up. A guy that can't stay in the league or a lineup. Like I was like, I watch different hockey games than you do. That's it. That's James Van Riemsdyk. I still just. Hey, Mike, again, if this was 2019, Tarasenko, Van Riemsdyk, Gibson, I'm pretty excited right now, right? John Leonard. What do you want from me? Honestly, what do you want me to say? You do it, Mike. You try to say something.
I could say I like that they re-signed Albert. He's going to be a nice 4 defenseman, 4 or 5 in there. So that's a good one. But then Bergeron, I don't know what's going on, Sean. This is, my phone is blowing up as we sit here and talk, and it's been going like that since 11 o'clock this morning. That nobody knows what's going on.
No, I don't get it. I don't get it. As you said earlier, hey, you know what? Grand Rapids might be fun on a Friday night. $1 beer, $1 hot dog. I've experienced some of those nights, man. That's a pretty good night.
You in? I'm in. Grand Rapids is a great town. I'll go there. Obviously, I'll buy as many $1 beers and $1 hot dogs for the fans as I can because I can't eat them or drink them. But it's a great town. I would be all in with this Grand Rapids lineup. The only thing I can say, Sean, is are they filling the Grand Rapids team because they're bringing all these guys in and they're going to play? They're going to do something the Wings have never done, and just bring ASP, bring the other 3-letter guy from Sweden, MRB, yeah. Bring Danielson, bring all these guys in. The guy that's coming from Russia, bring all these kids in and put them in our lineup, and let's go. That will be forgivable. I can understand that. I'm great with that. 100%. What's going on right now is not okay.
100%. If that's what you intend to do, number one, I'd be shocked. But number two, I'm like, okay, yeah, you have to speed up the process. You have to let these guys take their lumps, and see what happens. Rip to Alex Delvecchio, no doubt about that, legend. Did you see that SGA will make more in 1 year than the top 6 NHL deals? They have a horrible CBA. I'm going to say it again, my friend. Going back 10 plus years ago, there were a lot of people that got mad at me when I said this on the radio, and there were a lot of people that were in the National Hockey League that got mad at me, okay? The way that the National Hockey League did business was absolutely, positively, undoubtedly not sustainable. It was not sustainable, even after cost certainty, okay? It was not sustainable. And I tell people all the time, especially like the revenue sharing stuff, like people forget the revenue sharing. I don't remember I think it was 59-41 in favor of the players. 59-41 in favor of the players. And I always use this term, after having a conversation with a certain NHL owner. And I bet if you think real hard, you can probably figure out who that owner was, okay? But what this owner told me, a very good man, Sean, I don't mind losing money. I don't want to bleed money. And I said, can you put that into terms that my simpleton brain can understand? And he said, if I piss away a couple $1 million, so be it. I had fun with my toy. If I lose $20 million, there's a problem with your business model. And if you remember, guys, come on, let's be honest now, because I get it. I know how this works. The rich old man is always the bad guy. Always the bad guy, right, Mike? If you remember, what they said is, listen, you come with us, we're going to make sure this cap keeps going up. And if we do this for a while, the cap's really going to go up. And you know what? 12 years later, where are we at? Within the next couple of years, the cap's going to skyrocket. So we're never allowed to tell anybody that the rich guy was right. That greedy rich guy was right. We're never allowed to say that. But as long as you acknowledge it inside, I think your life is better for it. So to your point, Ray, you're absolutely right. The National Hockey League, for all the wrong it does, okay? You know what? Things are working in regards to profits for players and owners. And isn't that the way it should be? I don't know, Mike. Sorry.
Ding, 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 ding.
Some big names next season. Curious how many make it to 2026. Hopefully we get a good deadline at least. I'm intrigued. You're absolutely right, because those are enticing names. Like Mike, as we said earlier, one of the drawbacks of July 1 now is you're not seeing a lot of those quote unquote big names, but the list of guys that he has on there is huge. And listen, I'm going to say, unless Edmonton does some kind of Mitch Marner sign and trade, nobody should be surprised if McDavid tests the waters on July 1.
No, but all the other guys look like, Robertson might get traded now, but again, everyone's going to McDavid, and everything that we've heard, anything you've seen, his exit interviews, I thought were very, very telling.
Yeah. Let me take care of some business. All right. Hold on just a second. I see. You know what, Mike? I apologize. I lost my track. Did you know, however, that thousands of Metro Detroiters have already called Legacy Partners to get help with their home and auto insurance? Our friends at Legacy are one of Southeast Michigan's top independent insurance agents. You know what sets them apart? They call you. Like if they see something on the horizon or they see one of those hidden costs kind of pop up, I kid you not, Alex Giulio literally called us a few weeks ago. We're on our way to dinner. We get a phone call from Alex. He was like, hey, just to let you know, this kicks in. So why don't we move this? Why don't we move that? Boom. He saved us money. That's just what they do. Chances are, if you haven't checked your policies in the last year, you're probably paying too much and you could be underinsured. What are you waiting for? Give Legacy Partners a chance to help with your home, your cars, life insurance, Medicare enrollment, or your business insurance needs. Call them today at 586-209-4106 or visit legacypartnersins.com to get started with your new quotes. As you said, Sean, there is no superstar in Detroit. Mike, who's the closest? Who's the closest for the Detroit Red Wings? I know you agree with me. There's no star here right now, but who do you think is the closest?
I think Lucas Raymond had that chance to be that guy this year if he kept on the trajectory that he was going at the end of the 24 season. So I've got to go with him.
I'm not going to argue with that. I'm not going to. I think Mo Seider is going to be a good defenseman. I do. Okay. I think he's going to be a good, and he is a good defenseman. We're almost getting into Dylan Larkin territory, Mike. Remember, I hate Dylan Larkin, and by extension, you hate Dylan Larkin as well, because we say that he's a good player. So we hate him because he's a good player. As Gordy said, nobody overvalues their own like Detroit sports teams and Detroit fans. The list is long. It is absolutely, positively, undoubtedly a factual statement. And Gordy, I don't know if you used to listen to the radio show years ago when we were doing Ice Time. One of my favorite bits I ever did, Mike, you'll remember this, was You Be the GM. where people would call in and say, all right, I have a trade proposal for the Rangers. So at that point in time, I Neil Smith or whoever was the general manager at the time, they would call in and present a trade for me. I can't tell you how many times I hung up the phone on people. Like, are you kidding me? That's exactly what Neil Smith or Sir Savard or Lou Lamoriello would do. You made a stupid call like that, they're going to hang the bleeping phone up on you, man. Yeah. Wings signed JVR. Why not go after Yager? Somebody asked me, Mike, where do you think is he going to be, third line or fourth line? I suggested put him on a line with JT and Berggren. I guess. Where do you see him fitting in?
Hey, you could put a nice size line out there. If you have Rasmussen, you have him, and they'll have to sign Soderblom. And look at the size of that line. I mean that whether that's your third line or fourth line, you choose because they fit in both slots. I don't know what to tell you.
Can we get back to Elmer? Wait, just a sec. Mike, what kind of beer are you drinking, by the way?
That is Lakefront Brewery's New Grist. It's a gluten-free beer.
Is that do you get it from the place near me?
No, that they haven't called me. That one is hard to come by. That's Groundbreaker. That's a hard one to come by. 99 Light. Anyone finds Groundbreaker 99 Light, give me a call. It's like $5,000 a six-pack.
I'm going to have to go over there and have a talk with those guys because I thought we got that all straightened out, okay?
I agree. I agree. No, I get this one at Bush's.
Short and simple question. Has Bill Guerin been in an opium den the past 3 days? What are the Wild doing?
But
it's an opium den. A den.
Hey, guys.
Never thought I would see fans more excited about the players that left the Wings than who they signed. I think it's telling. I'm going to say it again in the interest of being fair. Adding John Gibson is better than going into the season with Peter Mrazek and Talbot. Okay, like that's the best I can do, Mike. That's it. If you can think of any other positives, okay. Here's another positive. Some of these guys can still input. Casper, you brought up Casper earlier. I'm intrigued to see what he does for an encore. Is his path going to continue like this, or is his path going to do a little of this, like we've seen with a couple of the other young players?
Yeah, I mean, there's things to look forward to, but it's a lot of what ifs. Again, is Casper? Are they going to bring in Danielson? Is ASB going to come in? There's lots of things to be excited about, but right now we've really got to be doubting anything we think we know is going to happen because I just don't know. ASP could be in Grand Rapids all year. Would that shock you?
No.
I mean, no, it really wouldn't.
No.
I'm going to throw another one at you, Sean. We questioned what does John Gibson mean to Cossa? I'll ask you. You're my expert that I go to. What does that mean for Augustine? Augustine doesn't sign this year, and everyone thought he would sign and come out, right? Mm-hmm. Gibson comes in. Are you certain that Augustine is signing here?
Yes, I am.
You are. I like the look on your face. Yeah. I'll take that. But it was something that has to enter your head. Like, is he going to Isaac Howard us?
Mike, again, I'm going to pat myself on the back. I know a guy who's been saying for a while now that I have it on good authority that they think that the long-term for Augustine is greater than the long-term for Cossa. I think what he wanted to do was have Cossa play the role of Ben Bishop, hopefully have him play at a pretty good level, and then trade him off for assets while he kept the seat warm for the Vasilevsky, which they consider to be Augustine. Augustine is still a couple years away. No other way to say it. I don't even think when he's done at Michigan State, and mind you, this is going to be his third year at Michigan State, okay? Oh, yeah. I don't even think when he's done at Michigan State, if I were a betting man, I'd say this is his last year at Michigan State. But you know how things are. Do you think that they'll say, okay, make the jump now? We want you to make the jump. We want you to go straight from East Lansing to Detroit. You know as well as I do, he's in all likelihood going to have that year at Grand Rapids, much like Cossa did. And Cossa didn't do a lot to endear himself to people, as right. You know.
He'll have at least 1 year in Grand Rapids, but the thought doesn't this year have to be his last year. I don't know where his clock is right now as far as him becoming a free agent.
You can give him that, obviously it's restricted. You can extend that. Yeah, okay. You can keep that under contract. Van Andel is a good time. I got to shoot the puck at intermission once to win a free oil change or something, and I sailed it over the crossbar and smoked the MC in the face and gave him a bloody nose. There's for you. It is a good time. It's not, where we're sitting, Mike, heck, if we jumped in the car, Mike, we could beat a Van Andel in about an hour and 35 minutes, I think. But hour 40 minutes tops, something
from
like
my
that.
House, absolutely.
Yeah. McDavid contract will be one of the biggest in the NHL, yet would be equal or less than what some of these guys signed today in the NBA. It's going to reset the market, right? Mike, that's Connor McDavid's the best player in the league, and it's going to reset the market, especially as we lead up. The interesting point is going to be this, though, and I'm sure, Mike, you've seen some of this speculation. There was some speculation that guys like Mitch Marner and Connor McDavid might sign smaller deals to quote-unquote bet on themselves 2 years from now when the cap really explodes. Like, I'll go someplace for a couple years, but then when the cap takes that big jump, then I'll sign the 8-year for resetting the market. Now, we haven't seen anybody do that yet, the bet on themselves angle, but you and I talked about that last week. That option is certainly out there. I'm going to be intrigued to see if some guys are willing to do that, or more or less if their agent wants them to gamble like that.
My question would be, would a Marner or McDavid have to bet on themselves? Like, I think their market is their market. They're in a different market. There might be other guys that do that. I don't know if I would see McDavid doing that, but it's definitely interesting to see because it's going to take off.
Rational fan, you can't sign what you can't sign. Be patient again. You have no choice. I hope that's what you're getting from the. I understand your frustration. Both things can be true. Like, I understand your frustration, and you can't sign what you can't sign. And I think we're getting to the point in time where I'm going to say it again. We have to take a closer look at some of the failings of this era so far, whether it be the head coach, his first hire as the head coach, whether it be Tarasenko, whether it be some of these guys that just haven't taken the next step yet. Mike, I think you and I, we weren't doing this yet, but I thought the Dylan Larkin contract was high. I did. He's a good player. I thought there was emotion attached to that contract. I really did.
Yeah, and you have the inside to all my conversations and all my rants about that. You know how I feel about that contract. It's hamstrung us. It's just a bad contract.
Yep. Mike said DeBrincat. In what regard? Let me know what you mean by that. Mike, what are you cooking this weekend? I know the answer, but since Eric asked.
Well, I mean, you know the answer that we're taking it real easy, and they're taking me off the grill for the 4th. But
can you believe that? Can you believe that? But in America, Mike Iavasile is being taken off the grill on the 4th of July in America.
America. But I do believe I'm going to, on the 5th, I'm going to put a rack of those Durocs with that new rub that I got, Sean, that sweet and hot. I've got to give it a try so we know what it is. I'm also going to throw it on some wings. I'm going to throw it on there. I might have a couple short ribs on there too. So the 5th is going to be the day.
I'm going to do the all day. I think I told you, Mike, it's coming in waves. I think the burgers and dogs are going to be like noon. And then we're having like a few people over and then a few more people over after that. And there's going to be chicken burgers, chicken kebabs, Durocs, and I'm just going to close my eyes and reach into the freezer, Mike, and whatever 2 meat sausages I grab first, that's what'll be on the thing, because we still have so many left over that you and I are going to have to eat before this summer ends.
Do you have any firecracker?
I have the other firecracker, not the firecracker.
So
Mike, can I tell you, I had some the other day. It's pretty good.
Okay. I know you said that.
Pretty good. It's pretty good, but it's not the firecracker.
I thought you were going to treat your guests to the number 1 sausage in Michigan.
I might drive out there in the next couple of days. I have a busy couple of days, but I could find my way out there and matriculate my way out there.
You also, not to cut you, you've got to get the Cantoros. Every time I go there and I come home with something, I'm bragging it to you. And I want you to get that. I think it's called Old World sausage or something like that. I'm telling you, it's a better motor city.
That's such a huge statement. And it's funny because I've been a Cantoros fan forever. And I guess I just never walked over to like their meat counter. I've gotten all the other stuff, and I'll go get some of the meats. And whenever I do charcuterie, that's my go-to. But I never walked over to the meat counter. Shame on me. But was it you that brought over some of those jalapeno cheddar? And it was one of the best jalapeno cheddars I've ever had.
That one, and then the one from Marv's, it challenged it. But I think what you're going to do, Sean, is you're going to walk there, and you're going to walk over to the meat counter. You're going to see the sausages. You're going to be in heaven, and you're going to order some. And then you're going to turn around and you're going to hit hot dog heaven. There is like a whole refrigerated section of different kinds of hot dogs. And you're my hot dog guy. They've got the Snake River Farms in there. They've got everything in there. It's pretty cool.
The Ken Holland damage now rivals the Cubs curse. Cornstalker said, is Trotz a never fire guy like Yzerman? He's made some interesting moves. He doesn't have the cachet that Yzerman does, but there's a lot of cachet there, to be sure. Make no mistake about that. Guys, I firmly believe the importance of a full season with Todd as the coach is being overlooked and undervalued. We'll find out. Well, but you know what, Mike? This goes back to the same conversation. It was Steve Yzerman that picked the absolute wrong guy to pick to coach his team. It was. And again, how much do I pat a guy on the back when I say you legitimately wasted 2 years of a rebuild, getting rid of the guy that was the source of all evil, and Jeff Blashill, by the way, which, Mike, I kind of took that personal. I like Blash. Blash and I have always gotten along. But now everything's okay. Like the Tarasenko signing last summer. Okay. I know 2 guys. I'm looking at one right now that said from the get-go, that's a shit signing. When everybody else walking around like penguins with their pants around their ankles. So how much do I pat a guy on the back and say, way to go, getting rid of a mistake that you brought here to begin with? And I think that's where there are a lot more strikes on the Yzerman ledger than anybody wants to talk about in this town. And yeah, both things can be true. He's a legend. He is an icon. If you had a Detroit sports figures, period, not just in the game of hockey, Steve Yzerman's face goes up there. This hasn't gone well. There's no other way to say that.
Not at all. And the question I would have for Mike is, then what is your expectation for Todd's full season this year behind the bench with the roster as it stands right now? Because we can't make up what it's going to be. As this roster stands right now, what is this importance of this full season? And what are we overlooking? They're still not a playoff team.
I don't see it. Hey, when it comes time to getting yourself a house, you're buying, you're selling, oftentimes both, you need to contact the right agent. Who do we recommend? Well, this lady right here, Lindsay Broadwell. Hey, have you taken a look at some of the houses in your neighborhood? Man, right now, some of those prices are skyrocketing, and your house is probably the biggest investment you'll ever make, and that's why you need a pro. Lindsay grew up on the mean streets in Northville, has expanded her team all over Southeast Michigan, an expert in all facets of the business. So when it's time to move, our friend Lindsay and her team will make sure you get the most out of your house and everything goes smoothly when you're finding your new home. buyer, seller, even first-time buyer, make sure you contact Lindsay at BroadwellHomes.com. She'll help you with everything from start to close. Licensed realtor at Real Broker LLC. Start your search today at BroadwellHomes.com. Ray, how does Vegas and Florida continue to do what they do? Sign big names or keep it stars? Won't Bettman finally admit no state tax is playing a big role? That was one of the most I am no Biz guy, okay? And I knew Biz long before he became Biz, okay? I did his games when he was in Saginaw. That exchange that he had with Gary Bettman was so disingenuous. Mike, it bothered me. Of course, it's a huge factor. Like that, to suggest anything otherwise, Mike, that when you can give the hometown discount and those guys can still keep more money than maybe a contract in Toronto that's much greater will get them, stop it. Of course, it's a huge factor. And Barry Zito, to his credit, uses it to his advantage.
And especially when you put that tax situation in places that people want to go to and want to live. I mean, Florida's a pretty nice place. They say once you get there, you're not going to want to leave. And then you throw on a few extra dollars. Come on.
People's brains are going to melt when Jeff Petrie wins a cup next year. Mike and I were talking about that. There's nothing left, guys. There's nothing there. I would be drop dead stunned if he wasn't a healthy scratch. A lot. Okay, there's nothing there. But, yeah. Can they three-peat? Absolutely they can, Mike. There, I answered it for you. Absolutely they can. You hate Dylan Larkin because he went to Michigan, of course. Of course I do. No, Dylan Larkin is a good player. Anything else? He's a good player. You know what everybody needs? Todd just put the picture up. You know what everybody needs? Go ahead, Todd. Put that picture up. Fat Ovi.
Fat Ovi.
Can I sign Fat Ovi?
You're going to get 40 goals.
Closest to a star. Mike said closest to a star. DeBrincat. Yeah, I'll go with that. Sure. I'll go with that. Sure. Sorry about that. I didn't follow. You hate Dylan Larkin. Eric, no, I don't. People say that I hate him because I just refer to him as a good player. People don't like the truth in this town. We know that, and that's okay. That's okay. Haven't heard your guys' thoughts on the draft. Any surprises, bust, bad picks? Mike, let's go there next. You want to go there next?
Yeah, like next right now?
Yeah, next right now.
Okay. I had no problem with the draft. But again, the problem I have with the draft every year, Sean, is for the most part, you don't see 95% of the guys that are in this draft. You can't give an honest opinion on them. We might see a little bit in the World Juniors. But I went through after the draft, and just kind of read some things on the guys Detroit took. And these are the things that I'm hearing, Sean. See if there's something in common. Hard to play against. Chaos, competitive, high pace, a nuisance to other teams. Who do you think we're copycatting here?
Right.
There's a theme that is there.
With so many of them. You nailed it.
Absolutely. That's exactly what it is. I mean, Carter Bear is your highest end skill. He's the only one that they picked that's got top 6 skill. But again, if that top 6 skill comes anywhere near that with the way he plays the game, that's what people are copying in Florida. A lot of people like the goalie that they took in the 3rd round, said that he might have been one of the top NHL goalies, in the future and stuff. So we got another goalie on our hands.
I will say this about Carter Bear, and I was actually very familiar with Carter Bear, and Mike, I'm not going to lie. When the Habs were picking at 16 and 17 before they moved those picks to the Islanders, I was kind of hoping he was still there. But you have to keep this in perspective, and we have this conversation all the time. I still think the average fan doesn't understand that the likelihood of an 18-year-old coming to your team is this small. It is going to take years. Carter Bear needs to put on size. Carter Bear needs to work on his skating. Carter Bear needs to fully come back from a massive Achilles injury, too. We're not talking about this guy helping this team, Mike, in 3 years' time. This is a guy that, especially with the way the Red Wings do things, maybe 4 years from now, you can see him be a part of that. And as you said, I think the high end for a guy like that is a top 6 guy.
Absolutely. And I'll take it even a little bit closer. You say 4 years, I'll say the way things are trending in 3 years when they're out of the playoffs, I could see him getting a sniff at the end of the third year.
Okay. I can't believe you. Stevie is living off what he did in Tampa, but come on, he had Stamkos, Hedman, and Vasilevsky to build around. He hasn't had that in Detroit in 7 years. He was great at building around 3 stars and shows he can't build from scratch like he did in Detroit. Ray, there is more validity to that statement than anybody wants to admit. And I'm sorry, I said it from day one. He inherited on not ready for primetime Victor Hedman and Steven Stamkos. That's a huge head start to what he started with here. And in turn, Mike, that's why people like you and I said, you guys got to be patient. You got to be patient. Now, he drafted Vasilevsky. I have to give him credit for that. He found the gem in Cooch. The rest is history and everything. But to be so lucky to start a rebuild with a cornerstone defenseman, and an incredible forward, Mike, 2 guys that'll be in the Hall of Fame when all is said and done. That was an incredible bonus, and that's why people, I think, like both you and I said, you can't compare the 2 situations, because you know what the Detroit Red Wings had? Dylan Larkin. Really, I mean, when you think about it, that's what the Red Wings had. They had Dylan Larkin when he took over and started this quote-unquote Yzerplan.
Yeah, and in Tampa, it took time with what he had. We did this show, I think this was sometime last year, where we went through the timeline of him in Tampa and where we were, and we're 4 to 5 years away from where he was in Tampa, the way they started. And I asked that question, are fans okay with that? Because that is what it is. And so now, that was last year, we're 3 to 4 years away from being that competitive team, and hopefully people are all right with that.
David said, what do maybe 3 or 4 first-round picks play the first year after the draft? Second-round players, 2, 3, 4 years. Oh, so many first-rounders, too. It's one of those things, man. You have to get lucky, too. You do. And I think right now the Red Wings haven't had luck on their side. Okay? They haven't. Some of the things that Steve got lucky with in Tampa, they haven't happened here. Mike, you need to find a Lane Hudson later in the draft. You do something like that, the trajectory of your franchise goes in a completely different way, much like, you saw him with Cooch, I mean, where he got Kucherov in the draft is insane,
And where they get them, and then getting them into the NHL, and those guys, boom, click, right. Lane Hudson, boom, click, Cooch, boom, click. And when things like that happen, it makes it a lot easier.
Listen, if you are ready to take the next step in your financial journey, look no further than the Wealth Advantage Group. Those 2 guys right there. Jeff Husak, his birthday's coming up in a few days, Mike Husak on the left, his birthday's coming up in a few days. Jeff Husak on the right. They have been in business for over 20 years, located in historic downtown Northville, and they understand your financial goals are as unique as you are. That's why they offer personalized expert guidance. What helps your family may not be what helps my family or their family. They know that, and that's why they work with clients in all stages of life and have clients in over 20 different states. The investment world is a complex one. If you're ready to start taking your finances more seriously, I think it's time for you to reach out to my friends. Not only do they do business for me, but they've been friends of mine for a long time as well. They'll probably take you out to a good lunch in Northville as well. The Wealth Advantage Group, 248-773-8574, or check out their website at www.thewealthadv.com. Raymond said, you draft 18-year-olds in the NBA and in the lottery, they play right away. Why do most kids drafted in the NHL lottery play right away unless they are Bedard types? Development is huge. I think hockey's a different beast. I think maturity's part of it. I do. I think that they want guys to to mature. It's always funny. Somebody was asking me the other day, they said, well, what about the NFL guys? You have to remember the NFL guys are 22, 23, sometimes 24 years old. The oldest draft guy you're going to get, Mike, is maybe a 19-year-old. An overwhelming majority of these guys are 18 years old. They just are.
And I think, go ahead. I think like NBA wise, like the college game, the NBA game, I don't think it's a far jump, but from the junior level college game to the NHL is also a huge jump, just in skill wise and physicality. You have to be a Bedard, a McDavid, a special kind of player to be able to do that, especially at the age of 18.
Here's a great question. I love this one, Ray, and I agree with you. Why does it take a goalie longer to make the jump to the NHL? If you have good coaches, shouldn't goalies be easier to play than the D-man? I don't understand the patience with goalies, Mike. I don't. They're different breeds anyway. If Marty Brodeur can play, bring Marty Brodeur up. If Patrick Waugh can play, bring Patrick Waugh up. If Carey Price is your best goaltender by a mile, bring Carey Price up. I'll never understand that. That's one thing I don't understand. Goaltenders almost don't count. Yeah, I'll hear the argument, especially about defenders. Defenders are a different breed as well. You ask anybody who scouts defensemen, usually there's a longer, period there. Goaltenders are different, though. If your goaltender can play and he's your best option, don't you want to go with your best option? I never understood that. Sorry, I just don't.
Nah, it's the overthinking. You're going to be paying these guys a lot of money. You don't, again, like you said, special breed. You're talking up here, right? Mm-hmm. They're special, and you don't want to shake their mental state. You think of Hart in Philadelphia. They think that's exactly what they did to him, bringing him in too early, and then he was mentally shot, had his year, and then he was done.
Well, you remember Price. People forget this. Carey Price will go in the Hall of Fame next year. Carey Price was unbelievable his rookie year as a 20-year-old. And then he lost his job. You remember Halak took over. I mean, that's like, come on, you're absolutely right. It happens, Thoughts on this year's Hall of Fame class? Are you surprised Price didn't get in on the first ballot? A little bit. But when a guy didn't win a cup, it's going to be held against him, right, wrong, or indifferent. Sorry. I know that. It's like Mike, the Dan Marino thing. Dan Marino's one of the best quarterbacks I've ever seen. I'll say it until the day I die. People are not going to put him on the same level as guys who won Super Bowls. Right, wrong, or indifferent, that's just the way it is.
Yeah, and I think this year's Hall of Fame class got it right with McGillney. That was huge.
I agree.
That was huge.
All right, buddy. Anything else before we get out of here?
No, I don't know if I'll have a chance to see you on camera before you leave. So have a great trip. Enjoy yourself. Have a great holiday and make sure, and I know you will, serve finely slow-cooked food.
Yes, absolutely. You guys enjoy as well. Yeah, I'm going to Greece next week, so I'm going to be gone for like 10 days, just to let y'all know. Mike, we'll catch up soon. I know we'll barbecue something really soon as well. Yeah, Eric, we'll be on tomorrow. I think we're doing 8:00 tomorrow. Todd, thank you. Again, you know what? When I sit here, I'm looking at the clock. Mike, we did 58 minutes. I got to piss so badly right now. I'll see you guys later. Bye.
What the Puck with Sean Baligian. Executive produced by Sean Baligian and Todd Losey. Theme song, incidental music, and related sound effects are from Always Pushing Forward by Elliot Middleton. Engineering, mixing, and graphic design support provided by the Unsyndicated Podcast team. Don't forget to like and subscribe on all your favorite channels. While you're there, be sure to rate and review the podcast. Got something to say to Sean? Call the Unsyndicated hotline at 248-237-3257.